Well, it is a BS Friday, everyone. Thanks for joining us. As you can see, we got Mark Bare Naked Willie dancing in the background right there. So, Mark, how you doing, my friend?
Happy BS Fridays, Dave. Happy BS Fridays.
I love it. I love it. I mean, we're just rolling through Friday after Friday after Friday anymore, for sure.
Number 12 is in the books. Number 12.
I know we're gonna get to 50. You have to name them all.
I'm starting to forget my own name, Dave Cooper.
Don't forget your own name, because that would be scary. So listen, everybody, we want to thank you for joining us today. Today is the kickoff of the 2020 New Housing Conference, which is going to be great. And we got some great guests coming on, Mark. Guess what, Mark?
What's up, Dave?
We are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. How awesome is that?
I think it's so awesome that people should take the time to like and share that YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook.
That's right. Right now, please hit that like and share button. And as always, also tell us where you are from. Hot, cold, or indifferent, doesn't matter to us. We definitely want to have a conversation today. We want everybody to join our conversation and be active, and we're going to take it from there. So, Mark, what's so great about today?
So today we get to plunge into more building science. We get to learn what other people feel is their driver, their passion, their mission in their buildings, lives, and municipalities to take building science to the mainstream.
I love it. I love it. And well, what else is great about today is it is now virtual.
That's right. What is virtual, Dave? What is virtual? You mean us? We're virtual?
We are virtual. In fact, so this is kind of a neat thing. It's almost like the Green Home Tour, right? Where people that normally wouldn't be able to attend this can now attend it in a virtual format. So not all bad things have come out of, this crisis we're going through. I mean, there's some great things that are coming out. It allows us to reach out and talk to more people about building science, healthier homes, and events like this that actually educate people on what it truly means.
Affordable housing is ushering in a new way of living and building, and it's done on the back of the New Gravity Housing Conference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So who we want to bring in first?
So I think let's bring them in. Boom, boom, boom. How about Katie? How about Tim? And how about Leah?
You ask and you shall receive.
Hi, everyone.
Awesome.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Yeah.
Right. Tim, did you get that? Did you get that espresso?
I didn't have time, but I'm ready to go.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, listen, welcome everybody. So for those of you, everybody knows Katie because Katie's been on the show. Is this third time now or twice? Third time.
Third. Yeah.
You're like a regular. I love it. I love it. Well, you know what? That means we like you, and that's really cool.
Thank you. I like you guys too. I love BS Fridays. It's my favorite.
Yeah, very good. And so we have Tim McDonald and Leah. Let me get your name right. Wirgau?
Wirgau, like we're going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So, Mark, why don't you kick us off with everything?
So it's pretty awesome when you have a conference that starts in a town and it has a successful year, and then it has a second year, and then it has a third year, and that's what Green Building United has done. Then the testament is to come together with another group like Illinois Green Alliance and say, you know what, our cities can band together throughout all this, right? Replicating the model, expanding the voice. We had some changes in our world, right? And something magical happened. It allowed the whole country, the whole world for that matter, the whole galaxy, the chance to be a part of live virtual conference. And it's just thrilling to see it start in a town, join a town, and go everywhere. So much respect to the organization to be able to make that voice a megaphone.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Tim, I mean, it's quite amazing, what you started with here and where it's kind of gone. I think if Mark, you think we should jump into this, I think Tim, why don't you give us the background, give us a little bit of your history, and I want it all the way from birth. I want to hear from the time you were born to the time you came to Dave Cooper Live, all within about 6 minutes, if you could.
No problem. Well, I was conceived in Canada, born in the States. Let's just put it that. We'll just leave the birth story there. No, I'm an architect, a developer, and a builder in Philadelphia, and I've always been interested in energy efficiency and really good design and creating communities. And we also did a bunch of LEED gold and platinum projects throughout our history as developers, architects, and builders for the past 20 years. But I discovered an energy standard called Passive House back in 2009, and I kind of have never looked back since. We built our first certified passive house, and it was an affordable housing project, and it was the first certified passive house project in Pennsylvania in 2012. And we built it at a really reasonable cost per square foot, and it was affordable housing, and it was our first affordable housing project. So I said at the end of it, why isn't all affordable housing being built this way? And so, very long story short, I started doing a bunch of research on how affordable housing gets funded and gathered a group of about 25 people who were really interested in high performance buildings, passive house, energy efficiency in Pennsylvania, all over Pennsylvania. And we approached the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency with the request that they start to incentivize high performance buildings in funding affordable housing. And the way we did that was I just showed them the project that we had just completed. And I said, and I built it at the same cost as other developers and builders would build code built buildings. And this building's going to use 75 to 80% less energy than a code building. Why don't you guys start to incentivize this? Why? Because the thing that I learned in the couple of years before that really concerned me was that buildings are responsible for almost 50% of all greenhouse gas emissions. And my God, I mean, if we're talking about a global crisis that we're in right now, it's nothing compared to the climate crisis we're going to see in the next 20 to 30 years. And if buildings are responsible for half the issue, to be a responsible architect, I can't imagine any other issue more important than zeroing out the emissions from buildings. And so that's what we presented to the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency. And we said, listen, can you start incentivizing affordable housing built to the passive house standard? They said yes. And again, long story short, in the first year, they funded 8 multifamily passive house projects. And the cost of those projects, once built, was essentially the same as the code built projects. And if you don't believe me, come to the conference and you'll see. In the second year, they funded 10 multifamily projects, and the same thing happened. The costs were the same with the code built projects. Third year, exactly the same. And so as the success of this was beginning to happen in Pennsylvania and we got data, I then took it to, at the moment, it's 40 states, so 39 other states, housing finance agencies, and basically asked them to do the same thing in one way or another. And at the moment, about 15 states have started to incentivize passive house buildings. So that's where this conference came from, because we basically said, look, we've got all this data from these affordable housing projects coming in. Let's have a conference specifically devoted to affordable housing and passive house. That's the intro.
I love it. Go ahead, Mark.
I love it. I'm so caught up on acronyms, and we all have them in our work and our building lives. And sometimes I just make up what an acronym means, and basically all the time I do. So I kept seeing, the PHFA, and I know it's the Pennsylvania Housing
Finance Agency.
There you go. I kept on in my brain saying the passive house financing affordability.
Like that.
Makes sense.
So there you have it, Tim. This is great. I want to keep rolling. We have so much content to get into. Leah, you have some sessions coming up. Can you speak to us on the Habitat for Humanity and the different sessions you have going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 18 total sessions. There are going to be 3 that are running concurrently. So you have to pick wisely, but we will be announcing the recordings. So if there's one that you can't get into, just stay tuned. But we have a variety of learning levels. So it doesn't matter if you're an expert or if you are an expert, you're going to find something that's for you. So we have a couple of different ones, but one of them is focused on affordability, performance, and the occupant experience. So sometimes when we build really high performance buildings, the air quality is not the greatest. So keeping occupant comfort in mind is really important. So we have a session coming to you from Habitat for Humanity Philadelphia, McGran Associates, and Elon Development that is talking specifically about the occupant experience and how they feel in it and how it's changed in COVID. So before, some of this data could have been collected in person, and now they're having to rely on in-person interviews and other ways of trying to gather this information. So they're still able to get it, but it has shifted a little bit. So you'll be hearing from those speakers on Friday, August 7th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are curious how we can build high performance housing in a way that is still comfortable for its occupants, definitely check that session out. We have a variety of other sessions as well. And I know that what we were saying earlier about bringing these 2 cities together, I think one of the beautiful things that's come out of that is that we have projects that are based in Philadelphia. We also have projects that are based out of Chicago, as well as all across North America. So we have people coming from Canada. We have people coming from all over the United States. This includes attendees and speakers as well. And so folks will have an opportunity to learn best practices, again, from that 100 to that 400 level, and still walk away with it with an understanding of how they can apply it to their professional lives. So a variety of topics are going to be covered. So I mentioned the Habitat for Humanity, which is going to be talking about Anthony Wayne Sr., a physical built project where they can look at the data, they can look at the outcomes of that built project, and then also looking at some of the policy pieces. So Tim was talking about the importance of having these higher level state goals that are helping develop these projects and incentivizing these projects. So another one of those examples where this incentivization comes into play is the state of Massachusetts has just done an amazing job at really incentivizing through policy, through politics, through practice. And there is a session that is going to be done by Hank Keating, Beverly Craig, and Mark Pinatelli. And so you have representation from Passive House Massachusetts and ICF that is going to really be talking about how the state has incentivized Passive House for building and as some of the lessons learned, because there are always lessons to be learned. And that's something that Tim, as one of the co-founders, Green Building United, as the organization that helped catalyze this conference, understood that we need to have best practices. It's nice to glorify and to celebrate the successes, but really at the end of the day, what's going to matter is when we can have those lessons learned and come to the table and share our experiences. So not everything is perfect, but we're continuing to grow and to learn from each other. And it's been so great partnering with Katie and with the Chicago and Illinois Green Alliance team. And we're really excited to bring this virtually to everyone.
Yeah, well, we're excited to have it. And if you're just joining us, we are doing the kickoff conversation for the 2020 New Housing Gravity Conference that is getting ready to take place next month, right? Because it's not next month yet, but it's taking place in just a few days. And follow the tickers. We're also putting the links in the banners and the comments as well. So you definitely want to tune into this, because this is a place that whether you're an expert in building science and passive house building, or you're a beginner, this is the place to go to start having conversations. How many speakers did you say that you were going to have?
We have almost 70 speakers.
So think about that. 70 speakers giving up their time to help educate us so we can really understand, how to build better, how to build healthier homes, and hopefully do it in a much smarter and economical way, right?
Mhm.
That's the fun of it. Well, listen, we got a lot of people chiming in, so why don't we jump to a few of the comments and say hello to people that are joining us. We got good old George Ryman. Good morning from hot Phoenix, Arizona. One day I'm going to expect to see that say it's cold here.
Yeah. Yep.
One day. All right. Thank God it's Friday, everyone. Look forward to this segment. I don't know who put that one in there, but we'll have to go back and take a look.
Expose yourself. Come on. Let it out.
Well, you know what? Just so everybody knows, I know it shows up on LinkedIn, but if you have a public profile and you don't have it set to be used off of LinkedIn, that's what happens. It blocks your face.
Okay.
That was Timothy Brown, Jennifer said. So thank you, Timothy. Is this Timothy Brown as well? Rainy night here in Shenzhen. Is that how you say it?
Okay.
Oh, that's Derek from Lumen Cache.
Oh, yeah. That's Eric. Yeah. Yep.
Feels a little like Blade Runner. Perfect. We got Shane McNutt. Good afternoon from Ohio, Shane. We have Ashley Bookholt. Hello from Chicago. Thanks for joining us today.
What's up, Ashley?
And of course, the one and only Anthony Goudet from New Jersey. And everybody knows this guy, Andrew Seeley. Nice kickoff. All right, let's see. Here's a long one. We're going to end up covering some faces, so my apologies now. The amazing BS home we talked about is on the market. Realtors never mentioned, look at her in the background, never mentioned what counts, just room count finishes. This place is a dream to actually live in thanks to the construction BS. So what is this? Who wrote that one? That was Derek as well. Love it. Tom would love the passive house features. Let me get into some questions here and some other comments. Tim is telling us some positively radical things. Well done, Tim.
It wasn't just me. Just so you know, I'm just the ugly face of it all.
Yeah, well, this is a good question from Jennifer behind the scenes. Tim McDonald, where can we learn more about the states with incentives available for passive house?
Well, I think, Leah, I'm going to be talking about that in the opening session. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there's a couple opportunities. So if people tune into the intro, we have Ed Masria from Architecture 2030 that's going to be kicking us off with a keynote, which is awesome. But then a part of that is going to be a welcome. So that's going to be one opportunity. But then also that session that I mentioned that has Beverly Craig from Massachusetts and Hank Keating from Passive House. They're going to be diving into, some of the multi-state efforts. And she shared with me that there's been some research out of some fellowships from 2018 is the most recent ones. And then they're going to be doing some more in the coming year. So this data is always evolving, but definitely check that session out or reach out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to point you in the right direction.
Perfect. Good answer. I love it. All right, Tom Reddy, Synergy Steel is all in with the passive house concept. Goes back to plan your work and work your plan. So, yeah, I mean, Tom Reddy, those guys are killing it out there with steel panels and panelized wall systems and what have you. Thanks for joining us today. As he said, we have a awesome group. I would agree with that. All right, Mark, let's hop back into what we got going on here today. What do you say?
Well, we should, but I have to say, if building science were to have a soccer team, I think that soccer team would be called Green Building United.
I thought exactly the same thing when they came up with that name, and that's been pretty recent, right, Leah?
Oh, yeah. So we were Delaware Valley Green Building Council, which, as you know, is a mouthful. So we wanted to rebrand a few years ago and picked Green Building United, GBU. It does seem like a university, which is why we try to say the full name and not the acronym. But we did have some scarves. I don't have one to rock right now. It's a little hot in Philadelphia for a scarf anyway. But yeah, it looks exactly like it would belong with a jersey.
It's always sunny in Philadelphia, right?
Always sunny in Philadelphia. That's actually kind of funny.
That's actually a good, funny show. At least it was. I haven't seen it in years. All right. Moving on, Mark. Let's kick it up. Who is up next? I think it is Katie, right?
Oh, yeah.
And she said I might want to talk about this. So there's a session coming up, and the name of the project was Tierra Linda, and I think we all agreed that in Spanish that means the wild devil. Is that right?
Yes, we all agreed for sure.
If you want.
I think Leah's looking up the answer for us. Katie, can you tell us the tale of two buildings?
Yes, I will tell you about the Tale of Two Buildings. This is a great session. I'm really excited that this one's going to be at the conference this year. And really, just before I get into it more, just partnering with Leah and Tim on this conference has been fantastic. And although we did have to go virtual and this was going to be live in Chicago, I'm so excited that there's still so much of the content is from the Midwest to show what's happening locally, what's happening in Chicago, what's happening in Indiana. There's a lot of projects that are going to be covered to show this is happening in other places across the country. So this one is A Tale of Two Buildings. It's a project by LUCHA, which is the Latin United Community Housing Authority Association. And they partnered with the project team of EcoAchievers and DBHMS and Slipstream to look at, this is the first certified passive house multifamily affordable housing project in Chicago. And it was built identical, a 6 flat, and then just down the block, another 6 flat. One was built to passive house standards, one was built to Energy Star. And the utility, ComEd, actually funded a study to look at, how those two would perform over time. So this is going to be a great session where you're going to hear about these two identical buildings, how they're performing over the last 18 months as far as energy, air quality, occupant evaluations of how they're experiencing the space. But really, it helped to show that this can be done in Chicago. This can be done by this housing authority, housing agency, more in the future, and really how we can start incentivizing this further. It goes into a lot, too, about how to work with the city of Chicago, how to work with the building department on this first multifamily passive house project that happened there. So it's going to be a great one for folks to hear if you're working on projects in the Chicago area and really see this, how this process went and the lessons learned and how everyone can kind of benefit from those lessons and keep building further. And it's on Friday, the 7th.
Friday the 7th? And how do people find the information for that, Friday the 7th?
It's at the New Gravity Housing Conference website. If you click on schedule, once you're there, you'll see all of the sessions. You can click on it, see who's speaking, what's the learning level it is. And again, there's a lot of different opportunities, including a Passive House 101 workshop. Like you mentioned, Dave and Leah, there's all learning levels. So even if people are new to that, new to the concept, we have that right there on day one, this Passive House 101, so people can get into that content and keep going with the rest of the conference.
Yeah, I mean, look at all these speakers and things going on.
Yeah.
I have something to add to that. The project architect was Landon Bone Baker on the project, and I did a single family house about a block away during the construction of that house. Katie knows because we had a big party. And
sure did.
The interesting thing is our single family house was about the same size as that 6 units. So, bad on me. But I got to watch the entire process and, be kind of oversee how the city worked with it. And it's important for all cities to learn. It's just construction, folks. That's all it is. It's just construction. It's proper planning. It's nothing out of the box. It's just proper planning and proper teamwork. So that's what these sessions and stories are about. You've mentioned some of the speakers. You got Lisa White doing 101, right? For Lisa White to do 101, who was seen more than her? So it's a blessing. Thank you, Katie. I'm excited for everyone to see the Wild Devil.
I remember touring through that 6 flat with you before we had the party at the house across the street. Well, it was under construction. It was just really cool to walk through and to have that whole project team talk about the process and how they got to where they were so far. So excited to have that study, 18 months later, how is it performing? I think it's going to be great to hear.
Is that how you guys met?
Yeah. Oh my God. We met on Sacramento Avenue about 17 years ago.
Yep.
I don't know Sacramento
Long time ago.
Avenue, so I'll just assume it's a really clean, neat street.
Oh my God,
Sure
I have
is.
no
The
idea.
greenest street.
It's a
If
green
you want to
street.
know if you want to know the real story, it was the center for green technology. So for all municipalities out there, when you have a center for green technology and you have thousands of kids coming in from different suburbs and cities and countries to visit, make sure you don't close those doors. Make sure you build more of those windows for people to watch what's going on.
Yep. Yeah, we had a good time there. Mark used to heckle all of my presenters, if you can imagine.
Yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
can imagine.
No, I have no idea.
I have a
Always
question.
for a loss for words, Mark.
Yeah.
Always at a lot. I have to segue. I have a question for Leah. She doesn't know this is coming. We're all concerned with health. We're all concerned with comfort. Is there something we could do on our desk that might allow us to be more comfortable and healthy during our life and work day?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I didn't see this one coming. I am also, in addition to being the Education and Engagement Director at Green Building United, I am also a registered yoga teacher. I love yoga. I've been practicing for over 17 years now, and I can just attest to the mental and the physical benefits that you'll see from it. If you want to get a taste of what you can do at your desk, there is going to be a fun session on Thursday, August 6th, where I'm going to walk everyone through just a 15-20 minute flow that you can do without ever leaving your desk. You don't need any equipment. You don't need anything, just yourself. And you're going to walk away with better mental cognition, more energy to move through the day. And so I'm really excited. We have a bunch of fun stuff sprinkled throughout the conference. So it's not just your regular conference.
Do you sit on one of those yoga balls as opposed to a regular chair?
I actually have a standing desk, which is my dresser right now since I work from home. But at work, I do have one of those standing ones. But honestly, just getting away from your desk and just taking some deep breaths, that does wonders.
Yeah, for sure. I need to take that advice.
You just made me straighten my back.
I know.
Yeah. Put your shoulders back, Tim. Your shoulders are too far forward.
You're right.
There you go.
That's right. All right. Let's keep. Oh, wait a minute. I have to, just because it's the one and only Brian Iverson. Mark ? Heckle ? Right, Brian always has to add the comic approach and egg Mark on. I see how this is starting to work between you two. Brian kind of stays behind the scene, and then he eggs you on, right, Mark?
I'd rather be a smartass than a dumbass, right?
All right. Well, I don't. Who is that to?
No, that's to me. That's what I would rather be. Yeah.
I'm just teasing. All right. Let's keep moving on here. Let's talk a little bit further into this conference. I think, Leah, you are up, I believe, right?
Yeah, we're talking about taking Passive House to scale, and you mentioned a little bit about Massachusetts before, and I think Tim might want to jump in on this as well. But the important part of it is, we can't stress this enough, examples from other cities, right? That's your baton, that's your torch, that's your trampoline, right? So be a leapfrog and do what they do, only go one step further. Go beyond code. You can do it. Go ahead, Leah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, thank you for that really nice intro. So I mentioned a little bit about this session earlier, and I would love for Tim to hop on and talk about some of the deeper work that Massachusetts is doing. But one of the really cool things about this conference is that it's brings people together from different states, and this one in particular, this session in particular, has folks from Passive House, Massachusetts, as well as ICF. So it's taking a look at the different trainings that are offered. So something that I learned actually while I was talking with the presenters was that ICF offers a ton of free Passive House trainings. So we're talking about, how do we take things to scale? How do we not just have it happen in one state or one city, but how do we replicate this model in multiple cities? So we're not trying to hoard or hide any information from each other. We definitely want to build and raise the bar together. So definitely check out Taking Passive House to Scale. That also is happening on Friday, August 7th. And you'll learn more about the different programs. But if Passive House is calling to you, if it sounds enticing and it's interesting, there are a lot of free trainings that are offered through some of our partner organizations and companies. And so Mark Pinatelli from ICF is going to talk a lot about that during that session. So sharing best practices is a part of the conference. Again, taking it to scale. You can start small, but how do you build from there? So there's a bunch of different incentivization programs that you can put into place. So people aren't just doing the right thing, because at the end of the day, it comes down to the bottom line and how are we financing these projects? And from there, I'd love for Tim to chime in as well about some of those incentivizations.
Yeah, so what's interesting is different states are doing different things to incentivize Passive House. Pennsylvania doesn't give you any extra money. It's really a matter of, and we don't need to get into this process, but the low-income housing tax credit process is what gets most affordable housing built in this country. And every state has a housing finance agency that delivers those credits to developers to build housing. Every one of those states incentivizes certain things like energy efficiency or senior housing or lots of other things. Long story short, in Pennsylvania, it's purely the competitive nature of the low-income housing tax credit process that PHFA, Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency, relied on for people to build to the Passive House standard. Meaning, they're not giving any more money for people who build to the Passive House standard. They're just using the competitive nature of the process itself to encourage people to take it on by giving people extra points in that application process. Massachusetts is taking it one next step, one level higher, but they actually found funding sources to give, I want to say, it's $3,000 a unit. So if you've got a 60-unit apartment building, which is a typical affordable housing apartment building, 3,000 times 60, that's the financial incentive for you as a developer to take this on. They're also helping to fund the energy modeling necessary for building a passive house, because you have to do a very detailed energy analysis. And then the last thing I want to mention about scale, bringing to scale, you think Massachusetts is incredible as a story. It is. It's really amazing. New York City is the epicenter of affordable and market rate multifamily passive house projects. There are literally thousands and thousands of units either under construction at the moment or already built. So there are lessons for us all in looking at multiple states. Massachusetts is definitely one. New York State and City is another, but there are lots more that are going to show up at the conference.
So we could take it another step, Tim, and say there's more than states, there's countries and provinces, right?
Absolutely.
So you have Vancouver, you have British Columbia, you have the entire country of Sweden in 1970. So there's so many examples, and there's so many people to dive into. So it's just great. These are all great examples, and you should feel inspired. And if you're not inspired, show up on the 5th. You will be.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. I love it. Hey, so Jennifer has a good question, Katie. I'm going to pose this one to you. Let's take it real quick here. Katie Kaluzny, what are some of the construction and material selection differences between the tale of two buildings?
Oh, I love that question. That's when I'm going to say you should go to the session to find out. But I'll probably tip it to Mark in a second too. But I mean, it's a completely different construction process with the, insulation and thicker walls and air tightness that Tim was talking about earlier. It's about the selection of materials, but it's just about the construction process overall that's going to leave you with a different building. As far as energy efficiency goes, again, with another, about 70% more efficient than code and still much more efficient than an Energy Star building. And I'd say that the air quality piece too, with the ventilation and the, each unit having its own ventilation It's just a different process altogether than what the Energy Star standard requires. But for those specific building material selections, I think that's better for the project team, and definitely tune into that session on the 7th to find out. But I don't know, Mark, if you have anything else to add there.
I could go on for days, but I'll watch the time clock. I'll do this in 60 seconds. So before we talk about the construction, let's talk about the results. The insurance companies, the appraisers, and the lenders, everyone in that building is healthier and comfortable. What does that cost to not have them healthy and comfortable? Secondly, the operational costs, the maintenance costs, and the durability costs of that project. Are we building a 30-year home that basically needs to get renovated, or are we building a 200, 300, 400, 500-year home? That's the difference. So are the walls thicker? Yes. Is there continuous insulation? Yes. Is there continuous fresh air? Yes. Is there uncomfortable spaces in the building? No. So all these things are there. It's the same workers. They're using a little bit more of this. They're being more efficient, and their outcome is healthier, comfortable spaces. It's what we all want.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is that, but there's, again, it comes down to the cost to do that, right? And I think that's a big player into what people, I think, really need to understand is, okay, we can preach healthy and comfort, but everybody has a budget, and somewhere that comes into play. And trying to learn and understand, and I know that's going to be a lot of this conference is talking about how we do that. And I think that's just really important for people to understand, because yes, we all want healthy, but I only want healthy up to a point. If it's going to cost me $1 million, I can't afford healthy.
Can I add something to that?
With not healthy.
Can I add something to that, Dave? So yeah. I think one of the core values of the conference is that it's really focused on affordable passive house buildings. So it's not just affordable in the sense of subsidized housing. It's about cost-effective ways of building, because the reality is most of these housing finance agencies, most of, if not all of them, effectively say, listen, we'll support you building a passive house building, but it can't cost any more than a code built building. And I'm not saying that, so what I'm saying is this, that you will see projects that look at what looks to be the same construction as a code built building, but just with really important tweaks to it. So for instance, the air barrier in a typical building isn't usually sealed properly. It doesn't take any more energy or money to see, you've got the exact same material out there. But if you focus on the details and how it's sealed, you get a significantly more, better performing building. Same thing with ventilation. You get to bring fresh air in. Currently, code built buildings are primarily exhaust only, right? They're just dumping air outside. You can't do that when you make a super airtight building. You have to have fresh air constantly coming through the building. And there are ways to do mechanical systems that cost no more than mechanical systems that have less efficiency associated with them. So I think cost effectiveness is one of the key tenets of this conference.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, that's exactly it, right? I mean, and I think that's what everybody has to understand is we have this higher level conversation about all these great projects that have happened and all the people that are going to speak and understand, but this can be done within, just some tweaks of the code to where it doesn't take much to make something healthier, more energy efficient to live in. You just got to spend a little bit of time with some knowledge and a little bit of detail work, and you're off to the races. I mean, it's one step at a time, really. You don't have to do all the steps on the first one, but build into it, learn it, understand it. Because I know when I started taking some of the classes and I went up to SIGA and learning about air barriers and air tightness, it was an eye opener for me. And I've been doing this for a long time, so I think it's important for people to really understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other thing that I'll add is that one of the main tenets of the conference is this. It's built on this concept that climate change is happening. And so we're seeing warmer temperatures in a lot of places. We're seeing storms happen in unprecedented ways. And so how are we building high performance housing that's going to adapt to those climate change impacts?
Yeah.
While also lessening that energy burden, that financial burden on lower income populations who can't afford the energy bills that they're seeing every day. So if anyone's curious, why is it called New Gravity? That's the whole idea. We don't build to, we don't question gravity when we're building. So we shouldn't question climate change. So in a way, we need to be building buildings in a way that adapts to climate change, that mitigates climate change impacts, just like we do with gravity. So that's the title, if anyone was curious.
I love it. I was curious. I mean, that makes a whole lot of sense now that you said it. Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it doesn't fall far from the tree, does it?
It never falls far from the tree. It never does. All right. So let's talk about, so give us an inside glimpse. What's the opening ceremony of the conference look like for those that are going to be attending? Give us just kind of what's the wow factor that we're opening up with? Can you share any of that with us, or is it all secrets?
Well, I did mention Ed Masria, so we're really excited. We've been trying to get Ed for a few years, since the beginning, I think, right, Tim?
Absolutely.
So he's agreed to speak, so we're really excited for that. And then we're also going to have a second keynote. So Angela Herlock from the Chicago Housing Authority, who's going to be incredible. So thanks, shout out to Katie for hearing her. So we're getting, the best of all worlds with that. So no secrets. I think the special sauce really is that we have this culmination of speakers from across the country, from across North America, sprinkled in with these really nice opportunities for people to engage with each other and engage with the panelists themselves. So you're not just going to be sitting at your desk. You're going to be practicing yoga. You're going to be talking to the panelists. You're going to be able to ask questions throughout the entire conference. And then you're going to be able to chat with fellow attendees, whether it's at the Passive House Accelerator Global Happy Hour, where we're going to have an after-hours session from a session that's happening during New Gravity, or if it's going to be the U Factor, which is, I guess, the Masked Singer fun event. So there's a bunch of ways to get involved. It's not just going to be learning; it's going to be fun too.
Did you say Masked Singer?
Yeah. Yeah. So you have.
I don't even know what that is.
So Katie, do you want to explain? I feel like
don't. I want to be surprised.
Okay. Well, okay. Then I guess the mystery.
You can guess your favorite building science expert's singing skills, I guess.
What if? I mean, just what if? Let me give me 1 second here. I got to do something. I got an idea.
I think Dave's getting excited here.
I have an idea. I'm going to show you something that you probably don't know that I know.
This is live, folks. So
I don't know what you know.
I don't know this.
Who's this guy?
Come on.
Yeah.
Tim, is that you?
You said you wouldn't do this.
You building united in Illinois green.
It's amazing.
This is so good.
Amazing.
Gravity.
Hey, reality TV sells, Tim.
Oh, where'd you get those sweet shades?
My son.
Oh, you'll learn to build cost effectively. Your affordable multifamilies.
I love the lyrics. I mean, this is what we want to bring to the
I
conference.
said the passive house
Cover lyrics.
standard.
You should put cotton in your ears.
Whoa.
That was enough.
if I had,
I could just turn it down and play it really low in the background for everybody. Can you still hear it?
It's making my stomach sick.
Oh,
Well. I love it. You know what? If we can't have fun and laugh at ourselves, then I bet your conference would be really boring if you weren't doing stuff like that.
Sure.
yeah, that's a taste of what you'll experience.
Yeah. That's the opening ceremony and the Masked Singer for you, right? Is that what you're telling me? No, I love it. All right, let's go in here. I see we have some comments. Chris Chan. It's not going to show up, but I can see it on the other. Knowledge plus connect opportunities are also invaluable in ways to shorten the learning curves. Lessen design time, increase success equals all ways to save costs in business and as an industry. Love it. Perfect.
Dave,
Okay.
I think people are starting to give longer questions so they could cover up my face.
Well, mine too, apparently, because you and I are both.
I know. You know what? Maybe have you been down at the bottom this whole time?
Oh yeah. We're digging the trench. We're digging the trench. Hey,
There, I
Tim.
got you and Tim down there now. There you go.
Been elevated.
You know, that's like rolling the dice every time I try that. I never know. I don't really know where people are going to end up. So
Okay.
yeah. All right, Henry Mickelberg. I built my own plagiarized passive house rather than a passive house. Plagiarism is good. Gotta love it, Henry. Always tuning in.
That's important, right? So what he did is he searched for information and he found it and he applied it to his project, and that's what it's all about, sharing and passing along what we've learned so that it's easier on the next person. Way to go. Plagiarize away, brother.
Yep. Absolutely.
Agreed.
It's the results we're going for.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm hearing. It's the results we're going for. No matter how you get there, it's about getting there.
Now, what we can hope is that all financial institutions plagiarize off of PHFA. That's what we want. We want the municipalities and the banks and the lenders and the appraisers and insurance companies. We want them plagiarizing off of each other, because the contractors, the building modelers, the third-party certifiers, the suppliers, the offsite professionals, they all get it. Right?
You know, the other thing I wouldn't mind adding is one of the things I realized about this initiative, this New Gravity initiative, not just the conference, is that it's very laser focused on the affordable housing industry, because it's where we can make the biggest impact. If you try to force the market rate industry to build to the passive house standard, you'd have to change the codes, which takes a lot longer. But the affordable housing industry is more malleable and has the ability to really raise the bar. But the beautiful thing that occurred to me only a couple of years ago was that imagine the architects, the engineers, the developers that are designing and building these affordable housing projects to the passive house standard, and they're building them at roughly the same cost as a code-built building. Do you think, and they also design and build market rate housing. Do you think they're going to go back to a worse standard once they're trained and actually know how to do this cost effectively? So it's really a catalyst. This New Gravity initiative is really a catalyst, not to change the affordable housing industry, but to change the building and design industry as a whole. That's what's exciting for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly right. People will be reviewing plan sets and say, where are renewables? Where are our air barriers? Where are our triple pane windows?
Yeah.
Where's our modeling? Where's our testing? Because it's trickled down. Tim, that was so well said. You've done this before, huh?
A couple times. I'm getting a little bored with myself.
Well, that's why you have the rest of us to listen to you.
Yeah, just put on those rose-colored glasses with the
right.
heart shape.
I think I actually have them here.
Yes.
Oh,
They have the flag built in them.
perfect.
All right, listen, I'm going to put you front and center. Just give us one verse of that song. You ready?
Oh no, come on, don't do this. Stop. I'll break the screen.
I don't have an outro, so you're going to have to sing for the next 4 minutes.
Do you hear
on our
how
outro.
cracked my voice is throughout the entire? I mean, it's horrible.
Just so the world can see you in all your glory, Tim. There you go.
That's pretty.
There you go.
Pretty nice. Pretty nice.
Well, listen, everyone. Can you believe it? That's our 55 minutes almost.
Wow.
Goes
Time
fast.
flies. Time flies. We'll take one more comment from Andrew Sealy. Wrote, stoked that you have all built a community that reached leadership levels at housing authorities and state finance agencies. LIHTC. What does that stand for, Mark?
It stands for like individual houses, the construction incentive way.
I had no
Or
idea.
low income
Wrong.
tax credits.
An extra budget for this improvement is a massive change. Well, good. I had no idea what it meant either. So, you know, I'm I'm right in there with the rest of you. So Tim, Leah, Katie, Mark, great show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
See you all there.
Talk about
Thanks
it.
for having us.
Thanks for
Yeah,
having
for
us.
sure. We're going to do some backlinks so people between now and next week can find the conference, and we'll play some short clips of our time here. Most of it will probably be Tim singing, but that's okay. That'll garner a lot of attention from everybody.
I mean, we're kicking it off next Wednesday at noon Eastern, so I hope everyone can join us. It's going to be great.
A big thanks to Green Building United and Illinois Green Alliance for bringing this to a town near you, a computer and a tablet near you. And I love it. Thank you all for being here.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right. Thank you. Y'all stick around, and we'll come back to you here in just 1 minute.
Okay.